All right, this is Mr. Gillum, and today we're going to talk about how to do some of the problems on your next study island assignment. And so, as I enlarge this for the PowerPoint, it makes the words a little bit harder to see, but basically the types of things you'll see in this assignment is ordering rational numbers. You'll see a little absolute value, and we're going to apply those things to real life solutions or real life situations. So remember, absolute value is a distance, and distance can never be negative. So all those things are important to keep in mind as we're looking at these problems. Okay, the first problem here has to do with chemical elements. And you may or may not have learned in science class about positive and negatively charged atoms. Specifically, in this problem, it says that chemical elements can have positive or negative electrical charges. The list below compares the charges of different elements. Now, Mr. Gillum kind of made this problem up, so the validity of the actual negativeness of or positiveness of these elements in particular is not accurate. So just don't think that oxygen always has a positive 5 charge or anything like that. Okay, it's just a made up problem that I made. Okay. In the question, it says the list below compares the charges of different elements. Nitrogen is more negative than oxygen. So if nitrogen is more negative than oxygen, that means oxygen will be bigger. Oxygen has more negative than sulfur. Okay, well if oxygen is more negative than sulfur, then sulfur will have a bigger charge. Sulfur has a more positive charge than carbon. Okay, so if it's more positive, then it would be bigger than carbon. In fact, we could write it that way, or we could write it the other way around. We could write it like this. And carbon has a more positive charge than oxygen. So carbon is more positive than oxygen. Or you could write it this way if you wanted to. Okay. It says place each compound into the correct location on the table. Oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, and sulfur. Okay, so let's see here. Well, we know that nitrogen is more negative than oxygen. So if we made a list here, we would know that N is the smallest, but it's smaller than oxygen, which is smaller than sulfur. The only tricky part is going to be about carbon. It says that carbon is bigger than oxygen, and sulfur is bigger than carbon. So the important part is to remember that sulfur is bigger than carbon, and carbon is bigger than oxygen. So carbon must be somewhere in between oxygen and sulfur. So it must look like that. So nitrogen the smallest, oxygen second smallest, carbon third smallest, sulfur fourth smallest on charge. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put them in order. So before I do anything, I'm going to put these numbers in order. I know the smallest number is -8, and then the next smallest number would be -5, and then the next smallest number would be 5, and then finally 8. All right, so I can tell what each compound charges. I'm just going to abbreviate. I know that 5 was carbon, and I know that -5 was oxygen, and I know that 8 was sulfur, and I know -8 must have been nitrogen. Okay, so it's really an activity of just putting the numbers in order and then using our reading skills to determine which one matches which each element. Okay, so you see something similar to that on your study island. The second problem here has to do with recorded temperatures. And so we've talked in the past about if the temperature is above 0, it's a positive, and if it's below 0, it's a negative. It says Jamie's researching the lowest recorded temperatures in 4 different cities. She wants to plot the lowest temperatures on a vertical number line. Okay, so remember, on a vertical number line, the negatives are below and the positives are above. The higher it goes up in the air, the more positive. The lower it goes, the more negative. It says the lowest recorded temperatures of the cities are shown on the table below. On a vertical number line, the point representing Morgantown's lowest recorded temperature should be plotted above the point representing blank, the lowest recorded temperature. So I guess before we do anything, let's plot these points. We'll make Morgantown the black point, 15 below 0, so I'm going to call him -15 down here. And we'll make the Charlotte the red point. He's 9 above, so we'll make him right there. Call that 9. Call him -15. And then we have Huntsville, 3 above. Right there. And then we have Bluefield in blue, 6 below. All right, now let's read the question again. It says on a vertical number line, the point representing Morgantown's lowest recorded temperature. So Morgantown was the black point. This one down here should be plotted above the point representing blank lowest recorded temperature. Oh, well, in this case, this is a bad problem because Morgantown actually isn't above any. It's not above any. So in this case, it looks like Mr. Gillum has a question here that doesn't make sense. Morgantown should not be above anything. It should be below. Let's just cross this out and say Morgantown is below all other towns' temperatures. When I changed that problem, I made a little boo-boo there. So in this case, Morgantown would be the lowest on the number line. It'd be below all the rest. On a vertical number line, the point representing Huntsville's lowest recorded temperature should be plotted below the point representing blank's lowest temperature. So let's look at Huntsville, and they are the green. So let's look at the green point here, and it is below the red point, which is +9. And the red was Charlotte. So they would be below Charlotte's. Oh, sorry about that first example, but there you go. That should be Charlotte's. They're below Charlotte. That's the only one that had a higher lowest temperature. That makes sense. Okay, so you might see a problem like that. Vertical and horizontal number lines. Okay, this is important. So a vertical number line, remember, we have a vertical number line. The positive numbers are towards the top and the negatives towards the bottom, so they get bigger towards the top and lower towards the bottom. On a horizontal number line, the bigger numbers are to the right and the smaller numbers are to the left. Okay, so when I'm comparing these, let's just take a look here. The inequality 5/6 is less than -9/16, meaning that -9/16 is blank on a vertical number line. Okay, so our two choices would be it is either above or below. It's got to be one of those two choices on a vertical number line. So let's think about this. -5/6, if it's less than -9/16, then -5/6 must be farther down from 0. So that must be -5/6, and that must be -9/16. And we could always compare the two fractions. If we wanted to find an equivalent fraction, we could make the denominators the same. So in this case, -9/16 is, this should be 5/6. -9/16 is above -5/6 on a vertical number line. In this case, same thing. If -5/6 is less than -9/16 and the numbers get smaller the farther you go to the left, then -9/16 is to the right of -5/6 on a horizontal number line. All right. So on a vertical number line, it'll be above or below. On a horizontal, it'll be to the left or to the right. Remember, the smaller numbers are farther to the left. The bigger numbers are farther to the right. Okay, and finally, we have a little question about money. And most of you probably don't have bank accounts that use a debit card for or a checkbook yet. But it says that Luke owes $200. Over $200. Which of the following best describes the situation? Now, there's two words here that you might not be familiar with. Debt is money owed. And credit is money that you have. More or less. Okay, so in this case, if he owes over $200, which of the following best describes the situation? He has a debt less than $200. Okay, he does have a debt because he owes money. He has a debt greater than $200. He has a credit greater than $200. That can't be because he owes money, so it's not a credit. So those two are out for sure. If he owes over $200, that means he owes more than $200. He's more than negative $200. So in this case, his debt is, and the key word here will be over. If he has over $200 in debt, then he has a debt greater than $200. So our answer would be B. So the big thing would be just debt is when you owe money. Credit is the money that you own, that you have. All right, and that's it for today. That'll hopefully prepare you for your study on assignment today. Over and out.